Hey, Scott.
Hi, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
that's that's quite a background you got there, Scott. Very jealous.
Oh, thank you. It's not Hawaii, but it's all
Yeah.
right.
You're in Whistler, correct?
I am. Yeah. Summer in Whistler,
What a
but it's
beautiful.
not summer yet.
Oh man, what a beautiful place. I remember visiting you last year, getting to come to your house and check it out. What a beautiful little like piece of the world there you have.
Yeah. Pretty special here for sure.
Cool.
Definitely stoked to call it home.
Epic. Oh man. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Between Sets today. Excited to speak with you about some of your images and what really motivates and drives you to create what you're creating.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Let's touch a little bit on like your background a little bit and where you've come from, how you kind of started with your photography and how you got to this point. I mean, you're the premier snow photographer in the world. And as amongst other action sports, I know we have different bike, surf, everything. You kind of shoot anything that moves fast, which I love.
Yeah, I
Where
like
did
to
you get your
call it.
start?
Um, I just started shooting friends on the weekends, or out skateboarding, whenever it was.
Mhm.
I just enjoyed creating shots and being able to show my friends at the end of the day what they look like, either in the air or if it was skateboarding on a curb, whatever it was. Um, I had a fascination with the timing of it, to get them, shoot them at the right time, to freeze that one
Right.
special moment. So it all really started from there in the late '80s, I guess. Um, I never considered that I could make it a career, or even make money, for that matter. It was
We
it was
never do, right?
no, it was
Yeah.
just for fun. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we had a couple local magazines that I would send, some 4x6 prints that I'd get,
Mhm.
from the 24-hour, the drugstore or whatnot, and
Mhm.
send them in. A couple got printed, and that's just sort of kept motivating me, I guess. Um, to check for $50 or whatever it was, and was just icing on the top. But it really
Right.
just grew from there. Shooting friends and just enjoying being out there and capturing those moments and being able to share those photos with the guys.
Absolutely. Damn, man. Well, I mean, you've been to all corners of the world. Is that's where you're based out of is Whistler, correct? And so you just kind of travel the world and getting to see a lot of these things, seeing with the best snow athletes or surf athletes or anything that you're doing. I mean, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, I grew up just outside of Vancouver, and I lived downtown Vancouver for, I don't know, a good 25 years. And would always make the
Mhm.
trek to Whistler whenever the snow was good. But uh, we made the commitment to live here full time about 6 years ago. Uh, the snowboarding here in Whistler is world class. So it makes sense, and then it gives
Right.
space for the kids to grow up doing all the fun stuff that I like to do. So it was
Yeah.
just time to get out of the city, and for the longest time there, I did base in the city because it was a contrast to where I would go. I'd either go
Right.
into a beach or into the mountains, and it was good to come back and have the amenities, I guess, of the city. But
Mhm.
now with kids, it's a different story. So it's great to be
Right.
here and have a yard and
Well,
you know
well,
live in the
to,
mountains.
to have that as your backyard is pretty incredible, man. That's something pretty special to have that, you know what I mean, and that space for the kids and to be able to share that space that you love and even you work in. I mean, you're probably working right in your backyard, literally sometimes
Literally, yeah,
shooting and creating. So
for
cool.
sure. Yeah,
So
yeah.
cool. Wow. Well, talk to us a little bit about fish video like that we just saw. That was really cool to see the behind the scenes. How did the concept like that? I know we have a photo coming up in your slideshow, um, but just give us a little bit of a like premise on that because that is quite a wild concept. I've seen the shot far before I knew who you were personally or as a friend. And so to be able to see that like kind of all come together and your like thought process and the creativity of like creating that, like what gave you that whole concept idea? Like, was that really what like that vision?
Well, it started, long before that I even got around to shooting that photo. I was interested in shooting some surfing. I surfed, off and on when I can, and I really wanted to capture the lifestyle and the surf life on Vancouver Island.
Mm.
Just it was at the time, magazines weren't printing stuff from Canada. I don't think most surfers knew there was anything from Canada. Anyway, I contacted some of those guys. I started shooting surfing. I wanted to get in the water, bought a water housing. And then I was kind of thinking, how could I take this piece of surf equipment and translate it into snowboarding and shoot something that nobody has done before? So the idea, obviously, you needed water, and it had to be clear water.
Right.
And then what's under the water, there's all different things that you could either have there or place there. But then it was finding the right feature to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it was years and years of me, trying to find a spot, but it was just never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing more and more work with Red Bull. And a lot of the jobs with them was they would just create obstacles. They would just make something.
Gotcha.
And then that's kind of like, oh, well, why don't we just make a river or a pond or a lake, and just put it all together?
Why look for it?
Yeah. So that's kind of where that idea came from. And then it was like, okay, how are we going to do it? And I approached it a few different places, and Bear was all over it. They loved the idea, and
love it.
We just sort of came down and made it happen.
Cool. Amazing.
And that's it. It's pretty cool. I haven't seen that video in a long time, so it was really cool to watch that.
Yeah, I like the beard, bro. Like the beard is wild. Right?
That's the baby beard. So I grew that for 9 months while my wife was pregnant. But the funny thing about that photo is everybody thought it was Photoshop, and that's why we did the video. Is because we were thinking, if this works out, how are and nowadays everything is it's created through Photoshop, or a lot of stuff is. Right. So I would think anyone in the action sports world, they're not going to assume that anything's Photoshop, because that's just how things are done here. But outside of that, everything is composite, right? Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that, we were waiting for the fish. Clayton was in the water, kind of sort of steering the fish into the front of the lens and trying to make it happen. So, and then the fish is there, and they get, the rider to drop at the right time. And
a lot of variables.
Logistically, it was tough. Yeah, it was, but
absolutely
happy to make it happen.
But that outcome was insane. You know what I mean? I love that, like, concept to, like, the creation of that and putting that all together. I mean, that's what we love doing. And I work a lot with Red Bulls, and I love where they're just like, anything kind of goes. They're like, the concepts that they like throw at you and like put this out of the ordinary in that has helped to like expand a lot of the ways I shoot as well. So that's crazy.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Let's start your slideshow up here, and let's check out some of your images. And oh my God. Is this a commercial work, or is this a passion project here? So this is date myself a bit, but we had just got cell phones. Mobile phones were new. So we were just in the backcountry one day. I looked at my phone and, hey, we have service here. This is insane. Like, we took a helicopter 15 minutes into the middle of nowhere, and then for me to know a cell service, so I'm like, okay, we've got to do something good here with this, right? So we call. It was actually April 1st, so April Fool's Day, and not even knowing it. Called Domino's back in Whistler, and I say, I know this sounds funny, but I need to order a couple pizzas, and I need you to deliver them to the heliport in Pemberton. I need the guy fully dressed in his uniform, and I want him to get in the helicopter, and we're going to fly them to the top of the mountain. Shit, he must have been stoked. Yeah, for sure. So it was funny. The thing shows up, and pop the door, and the helicopter just sort of sits there, and it was cold. It was cold, but I think at the time, Domino's slogan was we deliver anywhere, or always delivers, or something. They must have loved this. I'm sure. Nobody, like that was so long ago that the idea of commercial work or contacting Domino's and even working something out with them, that didn't even cross my mind. It was just more for shock value, I guess, amongst
our group, you know, and to be able to show the photo at the end of the day to a magazine and be like, this is what we did today.
Right,
That
right.
was, you know, it was more about that than anything. That was a $350 pizza though.
Yeah, must have tasted real good
Yeah.
up there. Hopefully it was still hot.
Yeah.
But
No,
but I
not
love
even
that,
close.
like, again, like just those ideas and thinking outside the box and how can we tell that story and what we can do on that. And like I just it's why we do what we do, really, and why we kind of build that. Let me
Yeah.
just flip through that one. Geez, Scott. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the moon, right?
What is that?
So this is my very first trip with Jeremy Jones.
Okay.
And if you follow snowboarding and you follow Jeremy Jones, you know that, or at least back then, all his stuff was these big lines, and they were shot from another peak with a long lens.
Mhm.
And nobody was ever on slope with him because, well, really, he's just doing the craziest stuff, and it's just too dangerous to be on the same slope as him. So this was our first day out. It was a warm up day, and I just wanted to get shots, you know, with a wide angle lens that you just didn't see of Jeremy. You know, just something a little bit more relatable, I guess. And yeah, it was just a slightly wind textured face, and I just rode down and put on the lens and said, hey, you know, just come flying past me, and you know, snapped 3 or 4 shots. And but it's one of the, like, I get shots that I like, and then you know, a month later I'm like, I could have done better. But this is a shot for me. I think I shot it in 2008, and I still love it. It's one of very few that I still love.
I mean, the
so
lighting
much
that you
longer.
use there, this is something that you use so well in all of your images, is the way you use your light. I mean, going back to Red Bull, like the Illume, right? And like I know you've won Red Bull Illume, and just the usage of the light that you find on the mountains and how it interacts with the snow and the different thing. It's like it's a full art form of what you're doing. You know, I think another thing, and you know, just coming from a different world, you got to be a damn good snowboarder yourself. Because if you're going down the same lines as him and getting to these locations in order to shoot it, stop it, then ride down, you're not getting picked up or like moved through the thing. You need to get up and down the mountain as well. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't come from that world. So yeah, I got to swim out to the lineup to go shoot. But like, if you're like, you got to go hike back into the mountains for this like one shot. This could have been a few frames right here, and then he's already down and past you. You know, it's similar like a wave, but you know, can you talk about that?
Yeah. And then who knows if this thing slides? You know, it cracks, and then you're tumbling down the mountain with it. But you know, all like the sports that I'm shooting, they're all ones that I did myself. So I had, you know, when I shot this, 20 years of snowboarding experience. I can make my way down the mountain. I'm not doing crazy tricks, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every situation is a little bit different. If you're in a helicopter, you get dropped at the top. You got to ride down. Sometimes you get dropped off on a separate peak, and you just stand there and you wait to get picked up because there is no way down. There's always you know, challenges, I guess. But I did have one time with shooting with Travis, and I think he gets off scaring people.
Jeez.
He's like, oh no, you're fine. Just you get dropped off here, and you can just traverse across the backside of this hill, and you'll be over the other side, and you'll make it down, no problem. I watched one of the riders do it, and it was all rock hard, bulletproof ice, and they were kind of slipping down, and it was just, you know, a few hundred feet and then cliffs, and I'm with a camera bag, and that was the one time I was like, not a chance. And I called the helicopter, come pick me up and actually move me. But sometimes you just got to know it's not worth it.
Yeah, knowing your limits.
You know,
absolutely. For a shot, I mean, we want to get those shots, but that's something that also, like my father would always say, is like, you know, like, what is that shot worth, or what do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna put yourself in a situation. I always am like, how am I gonna get out? It's easy to get in to get the shot, but how are you gonna get out of the water sometimes? You know, I think that is the same thing for you. It's like, okay, but if I go and I'm on that cliff edge, if there's no, you know what I mean? So there's certain levels of that. I mean, just insane how you've been able to capture that light, just the texture and that. Do you think you're using a 1635 here, or what would be your lens choice? How wide?
Yeah, good question. I think back then I was shooting all prime, so that's
Okay.
maybe a 21.
Wow. God,
I
that
think that
depth
was
of field
kind of the
on it
widest I would have
and
had it there.
going to it is just insane, dude. Beautiful
Yeah, I'm
shot.
definitely happy with the way that one turned out for sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Between Sets. Make sure to like and subscribe to be tuned in on all future episodes. Thank you.